Welcome to class soulmates. Welcome to Joannis Academy. So, in this class, we're going to be learning how to make a keyhole blouse, okay, with a yoke. Now, I've drawn my basic bodice, basic pattern for the blouse. In case you do not know how to do this, please kindly see the previous videos. The link is in the description box. So what I'm marking here right now is the depth of my neckline from shoulder to where I want the neckline to be. That is where the yoke is going to be fixed. Okay, so I measured 3.5 inch from the bust point. And wherever that is, I'm going to connect from the shoulder, the midpoint of the shoulder to my bust point. And that is the line we have there. So on the neckline area, I'm going to mark 3/4 of an inch on both sides, and I'll connect that to my bust point. 3/4 of an inch on both sides and connect it to the bust point. Okay, so that is what I've just done. Now I'm going to mark the depth of my neckline, as in the sweetheart neckline, how deep I want it. Okay, that's just what I want to mark here, and that is 1 inch below the line. Now on this point, we're going to raise this part by 0.25 so that it meets up with the other part, right? So this is what I have, and I'll put the two of them together to make sure that they align, and then I'll take the proper measurements and align it properly. Just watch the way it's going to be done. Okay, so once I put them together, I'm going to connect it to the armhole. I'm going to connect it to the armhole. See the way it goes. Okay, marking out where the yoke is going to be, and I'll use my tracing wheel so that I will actually get a normal line where everything is going to align properly. You can see the way I've marked it. All right, I hope this is visible, and I hope you can see it properly and learn from it. Right, so now on the shoulder line, because the shoulder is not so wide, it's more like an sleeveless, so I'm going to go in by 1 inch and connect it to my armhole. I went in by 1 inch on the shoulder line and connect it to my armhole. This is just so that we don't have a wide shoulder. Then I'm going to go in at the excuse me, on the at the neckline area to make it a bit wider. So I've made it a bit wider here and connect to the depth of my neckline. I increased it by 1/2 inch. Okay, so I have 3.5 by 3.5 instead of 3 by 3, right? Now I think I need to alter something at this point. Instead of just having a sweetheart neckline that is deep, I need it to be a bit high from below and then from the top. But then towards the end of this video, I changed some things. Okay, I changed some things. Just looking at the video, I changed the part where the okay, let's just finish. Okay, so this is what I have. Instead of having the depth of the sweetheart neckline deep, I increased it up and then marked the keyhole. Right, you can see where I marked the keyhole at that point. So it's not going to be deep as usual. The yoke is not going to go so deep, while the main neckline is going deep. The keyhole is not going to go that deep. Okay, now at this upper part, I will connect it to the neckline properly towards the end of this video because I didn't like the outcome of it again. So now we're done with the front, and to the back just a little alteration, and I'll mark the depth of the neckline for the back, which is exactly um okay, at the shoulder I went in by 1 inch, just the same thing I did at the front. I hope this is understood. The same thing I did at the front, that is what I'm doing at this point, going in by 1 inch. And then whatever it is I have on the neckline for the front, that is what I'm going to have at the back, so that the two of them can align together. Okay, then I'll mark the depth of my neckline for the back and tighten the back dart by 0.25 on both sides of the dart line, 0.25, and connect it to the main dart. Okay, so that is what we have, and we're almost done. That is the depth of the back neckline is what I want to mark on this part. You can see the way it is. Okay, so we are almost done. Just one more thing remaining, and that is what I'm about to do, connecting the neckline to the depth of the neckline, the shoulder to the depth of the neckline, right? That is how the back is going to be. So this other part is where the yoke will be for the back. The other side is going to go out. Yes. Okay, so we are almost done, and in case you've watched to this part, please kindly subscribe to this channel and come back for more videos, because we're going to be having more and more interesting videos coming your way on a regular basis, possibly every day. Okay, so do well to subscribe, and we have more goodies coming your way. So the videos are still going on. Now I'm going to cut this pattern in pieces as it's supposed to be. So please, before you cut, make sure you label for identification. If you don't label, you might find it difficult to identify which parts should be where. Okay, so I identified, I marked before cutting. So this is the back, and this is what we have. So going to the front, I'm equally going to cut close the bust dart. As you cut it open, close the bust dart. Okay, so we're still cutting it out. I'm going to cut the yoke separately. This is just so we don't have pointy at the bust points. So I'm going to cut it this way. So this is what we have. Like I said, in case you've not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos that will be coming your way on a regular basis. So like I was saying before, this yoke, the way it is, I'm going to connect it to the neckline properly. Okay, the lower part will be the way it is, but the upper part I'll connect it properly, because I did not like the outcome, right? So I've connected, cut everything on the fabric. I've transferred to the fabric the lining, the estay, the all the everything that we need are here together. So you need to do the same place. Cut your fabric, cut your lining, cut your estay, cut everything cuttable, the lining, the fabric. This is it. So once you're done with it this way, it will be easy for you to pin them together and start sewing. Okay, so we'll go over to joining everything together and sew. Okay, cut everything together and sew. Okay, so this is what I've done so far. Nothing too serious. After joining, I ironed it. after ironing, and I needed to take the lining and turn the inside like this. Okay, sew the lining, you join the lining separate, join the fabric separate, then sew it on this part, lining to the fabric together, and turn it this way. What I did here is what I did on all the two other sides, and this is what I have after oil ironing. Okay, now what, before joining this, of course we need to add the yoke. So I had to cut this part more because I didn't like the way it was looking, the way I cut it before. I had to cut it more to this point. Okay, so what I did after joining with the yoke and turning the lining, I used bias to tape it down, to tape the neckline, the keyhole, and the armhole, because I mean this parts of the armhole, because we're not going to be having sleeve. And because we're not going to be having sleeve, there's no need adding sewing allowance to it, since I'm using bias to tape the armhole part. And of course I'm going to now join fabric to fabric together, lining to lining together on this part. Okay, so after which I will then join it to the skirt. So I'll put it this way and measure it inside by the amount of allowance I added, which is 1 inch. So once I put it this way, fabric to fabric together, lining to lining together, I'll then measure 1 inch in and sew it down. Right, so it's, I've not done anything too much. The reason was that I had to do this at night because the owner is about to come and collect it. Okay, so use your bias. I'll show you how I piped it. So wherever you want to use the bias on, this is how I used it. Instead of opening, sewing, and turning, I just placed it this way and folded it into two. If you're not so careful, this might not be that neat, but then it is something you can do very carefully. Okay, and the parts that I've done, I'm going to be covering it with some patches, so that it look more beautiful. So this was how I did it on all the sides. Okay, so like I said, the next thing I'm going to do is to cover the sides. Since I've ironed it, I'll cover the sides, lining to lining, fabric to fabric, 1 inch in according to the sewing allowance, and then join it by the side, and we'll move over to joining it to the skirt. So this is the outcome of what we're making. Thank you for watching. Bye.